Okay, hi Allison, welcome back.
Hi.
I'm just going to briefly go over our confidentiality again, just so there's no confusion about it. Everything you say, stays with you and me, unless there is concern about harm to yourself or others, especially if there's children involved. Then we'd have to reach to some outside supports. But anything else is just for you and me to talk about and consider and work through. Any questions about that?
No, that sounds good. That makes sense.
Okay, perfect. So last week we talked about you were feeling a lot of stress around being the primary caregiver for your kids and not really feeling supported or like you had a lot of supports. So why don't you tell me how this last week has looked?
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of looked the same.
Okay.
Yeah. So I told you a bit about my husband works a lot, and then I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I have three little ones. So yeah, two 1-year-old twins.
Yeah.
And then a 4-year-old. And yeah, my day-to-day kind of looks the same.
Still the same.
I didn't think motherhood would be so incredibly boring.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not a mom myself, so I can't really relate to that. But I could see how something that is portrayed as such a big, life-changing, and beautiful experience in movies and by celebrities and stuff, it maybe doesn't always line up that way in our real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything we talked about last week that kind of sat with you this week or that you thought about again?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just feeling a little guilty. Like guilty that I even complained about it. Like I shouldn't be complaining about it. Like I mean I'm blessed, right? I'm supposed to be. I'm blessed to be a mom. But
Yeah.
But it's so hard.
Yeah.
I'm alone all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that can be a normal reaction to, again, like we have this idea of what motherhood might look like. So when it doesn't line up, our feelings might feel different. And
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to hear from you that you did some thinking about it and working on it on your own. But yeah, okay. So one of the big things that you brought up last week was that you don't feel like anybody in your extended family or any of your supports have been able to help you or support you in ways that you actually find helpful.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if you've had any more of those conversations this past week or thought about having any more of those.
I'm not sure what to think. I don't know if I should just, maybe you have some ideas for me, but I don't know if I should just accept that they're not willing to help me, or if I should be seeking it out elsewhere, or...
I'm just wondering if we can talk a little bit more about what those conversations have looked like before.
Okay.
Have you expressed that, like, you're struggling, or were you just more of like a, hey, come on over?
Yeah, I think with my mom in particular, my dad works a lot more, so it's always with my mom. And my dad wasn't really a very involved parent, so I don't expect him to be an involved grandparent. But yeah, when I explain to her, usually it's just me asking, like, hey, do you want to go grocery shopping with me? Just something really simple that I need to get done. And she's just like, oh, I'm busy taking the dog to the vet, or something else that doesn't seem that important.
It sounds to me like it's very serious for you, but you're not really communicating how serious it is to get that kind of support.
I think I want her to want to come. I don't want it to be like I'm forcing her to, or I'm making her, or...
Okay. Have you talked to her about the fact that you're struggling even outside of that asking for support? Even just saying, look, this is really hard. Asking for guidance, asking questions?
Not really. I'm not... I guess I don't want to admit that it's hard. Because this is something that we wanted for so long. Like both of my pregnancies were IVF. So Like we wanted these pregnancies, we wanted these babies so
Mhm.
bad, and they're such blessings. So how can I be so? How can I make it sound like it's hard?
Mm-hmm.
That just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that might help your mom to maybe make some priority of doing things like going to the grocery store with you or having more conversations with you about what's tough and how she can support you. Last week you really talked a lot about her and your mother-in-law being the ones that you're looking for support from.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering if we can find a way to be clear with them that like this is support, not just hanging out time.
Right. No, that makes sense. Yeah. I just want to be careful that they don't like think I hate being a mom. I don't hate being a mom. I just don't like it as much as I thought I would, or I feel like it's all I wanted. It's all I wanted, and now I just feel like I don't really enjoy it that much.
I want to challenge you maybe a little bit. When your kids ask you for help with coloring, do you think that they hate coloring?
No.
No? So wouldn't it make sense that you asking for help, it doesn't mean you hate being a mom. You maybe just need some help?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. That's a very reasonable thing to maybe think or feel, but I kind of want to challenge some of that thinking because you have identified that supports her what we're working on here, you and me.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think that
I need some support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe if we step out of that thinking a little bit, we can work on a plan to maybe reach out or ask for some of those supports to be a little more involved.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
No, I think that makes sense. Yeah, I'm just not sure how exactly to have that conversation, but that's something I can work on for sure.
Yeah, that's something you and I can talk about and work
Okay.
on, in today or in the future. But I think we kind of got to get some of that thinking sorted out and make sure that you feel comfortable to ask for the support.
Okay.
Because the other thing is I'm wondering if you could find supports outside of your mom or your mother-in-law. Would that feel more comfortable to ask for help, do you think?
I'm not sure who to ask or who.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like it can be hard to identify supports, but I'm just wondering, would it be more worth your time to build different supports that you would feel more comfortable asking for that support, or should we work on spending time with that mom and mother-in-law and building those into different supports than what they are now?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but we could. I like the idea of both.
If that's
okay.
Yeah, we can do both.
Okay.
We can see where things go and what feels better, and we can work on it for sure. I know it's a little different, but when I moved to the city, I certainly had to build different supports, and it feels really hard to know where to go and who to talk to. So I understand that feeling exists, but we can work on that.
Okay.
If we're leaning more into the outside supports, you've talked before about going to mom groups but not feeling like they were right for you. I'm just maybe we can dig a little more into that. And I'm wondering, were you seeking mom groups within communities you already existed in?
Yeah,
the church.
Well, yeah, the only mom group I could find was out of a church that was close to me, and it seemed fine. Like they had lots of ride-on toys for the kids in a gym, and all the moms brought an appetizer or cheese strings or something like that for the kids to have, and it seemed quite lovely. but I just felt like they all already had they were all good friends, and I was kind of just this like
Yeah.
outsider that doesn't go to church, and so I wasn't really part of their group. And
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and maybe it was less of a support group and more of like a mom hangout group.
yeah, I think that's exactly what it was.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we could look at supports outside of, that we could look for some maybe more structured support groups. I know that there are places like Havens Kids, and they have
Okay.
parenting groups that are run by like an actual social worker is present, and they do skill building and community building.
Okay.
So would you be interested in something like that?
Yeah, I definitely would be interested in that.
Okay, so why don't we add that to our to-do list?
Okay.
So during this week, maybe you could reach out to them,
Okay.
see if some of that support group, like if it meshes with how you feel and what you're looking for, maybe
Okay.
get some of that information. You don't have to commit to it or agree to it, but maybe just look into it a little.
Okay. Do you know if
And-
it costs anything?
As far as I'm aware, it is free,
Okay.
but I'm not entirely positive.
Okay.
But if cost is a factor and if it's not going to work, that's okay. And we can meet
Okay.
next week and discuss whether or not that sounds like an option for you.
Do you know which day of the week they meet?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
So again,
Yeah.
something to look into, some information to get, and we can talk about it next week whether or not
Okay.
they sound like a good one, or maybe they're able to give you some referrals to other groups that might also be up your alley,
Yeah.
So let's start with one thing on our to-do list, and
Okay.
we can do that.
Okay.
The other thing that I think maybe we could talk about before next week is if you want to build more support with your mom, what do you feel that conversation might look like?
I think I just need to be honest with her.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hard for me to do.
Yeah.
So.
I'm wondering if it's something that we should just scrap completely. It sounds to me a little bit like, I'm not sure if it's that it feels very overwhelming or if it's just something you don't want to do, but you seem a little more avoidant and a little more interested in the support groups.
Yeah, I think what I'm missing out on is friends. Like, I don't have friends.
Okay,
So
let's
yeah.
drop the more support from mom.
Okay.
And let's kind of hunker down on the support groups, and we can take a look at what they have to offer you. Okay.
I like the sounds of that. Yeah.
Okay. You look a little more relieved, so I think that maybe that was something.
Yeah.
weighing
Yeah.
on you a
I
little.
didn't know there were other options. I kind of thought there were just these church options, and I wasn't really comfortable in that environment. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that we could sort through that and find a way to kind of come out on the other side and make a plan for next week. I'm wondering if there's anything else you want to mention before we start to wrap up, or anything else you feel
Yeah.
you want to say.
I don't think so. No, I'm excited to look into some of these options this week and see where I can go from there.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that, and I think we've got a good action plan. I think we got some clarity on some things here, and I think you've talked a lot about this being tough, but you wanting to move forward and create better supports. And so, if I'm hearing you correctly, I think we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Of course. Thanks for coming, Allison.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good.
Okay. Bye.
So I think we're going to be like 60 seconds short. Am I right? Or is it 20?